This is the second part of your Excel tutorial, where we will cover some of the important concepts that you will need as you progress through your assignment. In particular, these concepts will be used vastly in completing the economic feasibility sheet and also in interpreting the results and answers to the questions that are provided to you in the Word document. Some of the important concepts that we are going to cover are how to copy data from one sheet to another sheet in the same workbook, formulae, autofill, and some basic finance concepts. Sometimes the data you need for your calculations might not be present in the sheet that you are currently using. It might be possible that this data is present in another sheet in the same workbook. In order to copy data from one sheet to another sheet, follow these simple steps. Click on the destination cell where you wish to copy the data. Double-click on the cell and type in an equal to sign. Using the mouse, click on the desired sheet that contains the data cell, select the data cell, and hit Enter. To demonstrate how to copy research expense from sheet 2 into sheet 1, here's what we do. Double-click on the desired cell, type in an equal to, go to the sheet where your data lies, select it, and hit Enter. Formulae in Excel. You don't need a calculator separately while you're using Excel because you can use inbuilt math tools. There are two different methods in which you can use formulae. We demonstrate this by subtracting two numbers. In the first method, you just type in the formula. You double-click on the cell and type in the formula as you will first as equal to, then select the first cell, minus, select the second cell, and hit Enter. Let's see an example. Now, to demonstrate subtraction, let's use method 1. Double-click equal to, select the first cell, subtract, select the second cell, Enter. The second method is to use a function in the formula bar. Now, to subtract, we need to use the sum function because Excel does not have a subtract function. So what we do is that we double-click in the formula bar, type in equal to, sum, select the first cell, comma, minus, select the second cell, and hit Enter. Let's see an example. Let us use the second method to demonstrate subtraction. This, as you see, is the formula bar. And we will type in equal, sum, open parentheses, select the first cell, comma, minus, select the second cell, close parentheses, Enter. Autofill is a feature that allows you to automatically copy the formula in one cell to other selected cells. There are two types of autofill depending on whether you want the value to adjust relatively or whether you want a particular cell or a column or a row to remain constant. The first type is relative cell referencing, which means that basic cell references will adjust and change when copied or when using autofill. To do this, go to the parent cell and place the cursor on the lower right-hand corner of the cell. When a small plus sign appears, click and drag across all cells where the formula must be copied. Let's see an example. We will calculate the total in this column. The formula we'll use is simply equal to quarter one plus quarter two. Now we want to do the same for research expense as well. We will use relative cell referencing. Look at how the little plus sign appears on the right hand corner. Drag it down here and we will see that all the values are added. Notice here the formula is B2 plus C2. When you dragged it, the formula became B3 plus C3, adding these two columns instead. This is relative cell referencing. In absolute cell referencing, we want to keep a particular cell or a row or a column constant. The dollar signs are used to hold a column or row reference constant. Use the same method as before to autofill. Let's see an example. As an example of absolute cell referencing, we will now compute every total as a percentage of the total revenue. The formula for that is this cell divided by this cell into 100. That's 100%. Now notice that because it's a percentage of total revenue, D2 will remain constant. So we're going to put $D and $2. What this means is that no matter how you drag it, D2 will remain constant. Let's see. Here, it computes D3 divided by D2. Let's look at what would have happened if we had done this instead. Just put a dollar sign in front of 2. This should hold the column, the row constant, and the column variable. Now if you drag it down, nothing changes because you do want the row to be constant and the column is anyway going to be constant because you drag it across the column. However, here's something else to ponder upon. What if you made only D constant? Now if you drag it, every cell will be D3 by D3, which means all of them will now divide by themselves. Because you held the column constant and you were dragging across a column, this became immaterial, but because you held the row variable, the formula was copied just like relative cell referencing. It's important to note that autofill can be used for copying sheet referencing formulae as well. Now let us look at some of the basic finance concepts that you will need. Recurring costs and benefits are costs and benefits that repeat every year and therefore are zero in the first year or year 0. This is because in the first year when the project is implemented, there is a one-time cost only and no recurring costs. The recurring costs start after year 0. One-time costs are incurred exactly once when the new system is implemented in the first year of operation and is 0 afterwards. The present value factor is a number based on a discount rate that accounts for depreciation. What this means is that the value of $1 today is worth less than $1 in the next year, and the present value factor will account for that. There is a formula provided to you for the present value factor in your assignment. The net present value, or NPV, is the overall value of the company or operation which is equivalent to present value of benefits minus present value of all costs. A positive NPV implies that the project was successful, the benefits were more than the costs, and therefore the business decision is feasible. A negative NPV means that the project was unsuccessful, the costs were way more than the benefits, and the business decision is therefore unfeasible. An important concept is the break-even point, which is the instant of time at which the NPV becomes positive. At this time, the project or business decision becomes feasible. A shorter break-even time is always preferable. Most companies will prefer a break-even from 6 months to 5 years, depending on what kind of project they're implementing. How will you interpret the results that you get? If at the end of T number of years, your NPV is positive, then the project has a break-even point and will be feasible. If at the end of T years there is no break-even point, which means that the net present value is negative, the project is unfeasible for a target break-even of T years. The time frame T is usually decided before the implementation of the project. For you, it will be provided in the assignment. If a project does not break even according to the mission statement of the project, then it is deemed unfeasible. However, if the target break even is T prime, for example, where T prime is greater than T, and at the end of T prime, NPV becomes positive, then the project is feasible in T prime years. It is still unfeasible in T years. Discount rate, R, is a positive number. If the project becomes feasible only at some negative R, that means that the project is actually unfeasible because R, the discount rate, can never be negative. This concludes the second part of the Excel tutorial. In the next part, we will learn how to complete the economic feasibility sheet using the concepts that we just learned.